Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. So Trump picked his new NIH director, the NIH, which is used to be a criminal named Collins, and he worked hand in hand with Fauci, who was at the NIAID, National Institute for Allergy and Infections. I don't know what it's called, but I think it's called the NIAIDIEOP. So this guy, he's been on our show. So this guy, he did the Great Barrington Declaration. And his big idea was to have focus protection. So the Great Barrington Declaration was, you don't lock everybody down. You just take care of the vulnerable people, like the elderly, the people with comorbidities and such, and everybody else goes about their life. And it turns out that was the right way to go. This focus protection plan went against Dr. Fauci's diabolical plan for the world. And so Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins decided to initiate a propaganda attack against the hundreds of international doctors who signed on to the declaration. That was the Great Barrington Declaration. And so here's the email about their plan to smear him. It says, let me read it to you. It says, "Hi, Tony and Cliff. This proposal from the three fringe epidemiologists," they called Dr. Bhattacharya and the two other, I think I'm going to show you in a second, here's the three fringe. Dr. Martin Kulldorff, professor of medicine at Harvard University, Dr. Sunetra Gupta, professor at Oxford University, and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, a professor at Stanford University. They called them fringe. So it says, this proposal from three fringe epidemiologists who met with the secretary seems to be getting a lot of attention, and even a co-signature from Nobel Prize winner Mike something at Stanford. There needs to be a quick and devastating published takedown of its premises. I don't see anything like that online yet. Is it underway? Why would you need to have a quick and devastating takedown? Why wouldn't you have let's have a debate about this and see what the science should be? Because it was never about science. Tony Fauci's a criminal and a liar and a criminal liar. And so is Francis Collins at the NIH. So is Walensky over at the CDC. They're all criminals and they're all liars. And so there they are. I asked them about this. Why did they do this to you? And this is from the Jimmy Dore show. Watch this. And so, Dr. Bhattacharya, why would Anthony Fauci and the head of the NIH not want to have this discussion? Instead, why do you think they would bypass the real debate and go right to slandering you and your work?
I mean, we posed an enormous problem for them, Jimmy. The problem is that they wanted to create this illusion that all the scientists in the world, all the doctors in the world agreed with this lockdown policy. They it was basically a propaganda campaign. They wanted to create that tell the public, no, we are the science. And rather than facing the inconvenient fact that many scientists disagreed with them. The Great Barrington Declaration, when we wrote it, the three of me, Martin, and then Sunetra Gupta of Oxford University, we posed an enormous problem for them because they couldn't simply just really dismiss us as fringe. They wanted to, and you can see that they did.
They did.
The reason is simple. It's like, if there are prominent scientists who disagree with them, well, that must mean there's lots of other scientists that disagree with them as well. In fact, there were thousands, tens of thousands of scientists and doctors signed on. And that's why we posed a problem. Not because of the science. They can't defend the science of the lockdown, but because of the PR.
So there you go. So now that guy's the head of the NIH, former guest on the Jimmy Dore show. Makes me very proud. We've got three people who've been former guests on the Jimmy Dore show who are now in the top of the Trump administration. We have Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., and now Jay Bhattacharya. So that's how they tried to, and they tried to call them fringe. They tried to call them fringe. And this person's from the Harvard University. That person's from Oxford. And the guy who's now going to be the head of the NIH, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, is a professor at Stanford Medical School, a physician, epidemiologist, health economist, and a public health policy expert. At the time of the writing of the Declaration, the Declaration had 890,000 signatories, of which approximately 60,000 are medical practitioners and public health scientists from across the world. So when they did the Great Barrington Declaration, they got 60,000 doctors and medical practitioners and public health scientists to sign it. I had someone who used to work for this show say, "Oh, really, Jimmy? They somehow it's propaganda, but every doctor in the world's going along with it." Well, they weren't going along with it. They were being suppressed and they were being censored, and you didn't hear about it because they were being suppressed and censored. So there it is. That was the Great Barrington Declaration, which he was an author of, which was the right way to handle COVID. You don't lock people down. There was no science for masks. You do targeted protection of the people who are vulnerable, just like you do with the flu. Because COVID had a survival rate of 99.5%. Less than 0.5% of people died from COVID, and those people average age 82 years old. And most of them had three or four more comorbidities. So it was never really a threat to healthy people. And the fact that they're still pushing the boosters, a lot of people say is malpractice. Now, of course, the CDC and the FDA say it's fantastic science, even though the top two people at the FDA in charge of vaccines resigned over the boosters. I'm not allowed to say that's bad because YouTube will give me a strike. I have to say that the FDA and the CDC say the boosters are fantastic. Here is Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. He says, "So now I know what it feels like to be the subject of a propaganda attack by my own government. Discussion and engagement would have been better." So that's a top doctor, top scientist at Stanford University who got it right. And of course, the government and the media slandered him and smeared him to discredit him. Then they suppressed him and then they censored him. And now he's the head of the NIH. So that's thrilling. So if for no other reason, no matter what, we might be in World War III pretty soon. Seems like Joe Biden is trying his hardest, or the people who are in his administration. Joe Biden's demented and he doesn't know where he is. But Antony Blinken and those people are doing it. And who knows? Trump just appointed a guy today to be the special envoy to Ukraine. Last year, he was all on board for the Ukraine war and ramping it up. So you don't know what's going to happen. But this makes me, there's one bright spot. Bobby Tulsi, now totally don't understand why she flipped on Israel, but she did. But she's definitely going to be the best DNI that we've had in a long time. So you want to hear what else he had to say about this whole campaign smear? Did he wear the same suit and my suit? Yeah, he's wearing the same suit coat. And so, same suit coat. There it is. Look at that.
HHS commissioned a public relations firm named Force Marshburg in September of 2020, and then spent almost $1 billion over the course of the Biden administration, essentially to propagandize the American public. Their themes were the main goal was to tell people that if you don't get the COVID vaccine, you are unclean. And they fear-mongered about the risk to kids. They pushed forward false ideas about natural immunity, where they said essentially denied its existence. They did everything they possibly could to tell you about the benefits of the vaccine, but never once told you about the potential harms, right? So, for instance, the side effects for myocarditis for young men, as best I can tell, never came up once in any of their ads. No, and they put these ads into like the most vulnerable populations. It essentially was $1 billion spent by the taxpayer to propagandize the American people.
So that's your new head of the NIH. What a difference. What a difference. He is a trained physician economist. Is now he has now been confirmed. No, he hasn't been confirmed, but it's confirmed that Trump is nominating him. So this was from yesterday. So he's not the presumptive favorite. He's actually been selected by President Donald Trump as the next director of the National Institutes of Health. So it goes HHS, which is going to be Bobby, RFK Jr., and then underneath, it's going to be this guy at the NIH, and then there'll be the FDA and the CDC. Bhattacharya met this week with Robert F. Kennedy, blah, blah, blah. Nearly a $50 billion agency that oversees the nation's biomedical research. But that's almost as much money as we give to Ukraine in a weekend. Huh. Bhattacharya has called for shifting the agency's focus toward funding more innovative research and reducing the influence of some of its long-serving career officials. I'm with you on that. Bhattacharya emerged as a prominent critic of the federal government's COVID-19 response, co-writing the Great Barrington Declaration that called for rolling back coronavirus-related shutdowns while keeping focused protections for vulnerable populations such as older Americans. And he was right about that. Turns out he was 100% right. You know who was wrong? The media, Rachel Maddow, everybody who used to be who used to work on this show, everybody else on Facebook, everybody in Hollywood, everybody in the government, everybody else. They're all wrong. But now we know it wasn't just one or two guys who got it right. It was 60,000 doctors and health professionals signed on to that. The proposal won support from Republican politicians and some Americans eager to resume daily life, but was rebuked by public health experts. There are people still clinging to masks. So that just goes to show you this is an emotional thing. People still want to be afraid of COVID. They're still clinging to masks. There are people still getting their boosters, which shows you that this is emotional. This isn't about logic or facts or we're the smart people. We're the liberals. We're smart. The conservatives are the dummies. It's not about it. It's emotional. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with facts or evidence-based science. Nothing. It just has to do with your emotions. They are emotional children. But so the proposal once and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Bhattacharya has called for rolling back the power of some of the 27 institutes and centers that constitute NIH, saying that I know comedians who still wear masks in comedy clubs. They take it off right before they go on stage, which they do that, I guess, just to prove that they're fucking crazy. So you're going to wear a mask, except when you go up and you have 200 people breathing right at you. And then when you're away from the 200 people breathing right at you, you're going to put your mask right back on. Bhattacharya has called for rolling back the power of some of the 27 institutes and centers that constitute NIH, saying that some career civil servants wrongly shaped national policies at the height of the pandemic and did not tolerate dissent. Science is all about dissent. NIH has also been investigated by lawmakers in the wake of the pandemic, including by Republicans who say the agency's leaders mismanaged the virus response and have demanded there's going to be nothing happening to anybody. Just so you know, I don't care who's in charge. Nothing's going to happen to Anthony Fauci. They already spent $15 million on security for him. Why? Because he did the bidding of the Pentagon, the military-industrial complex, and Big Pharma. That guy is protected. Fauci and other current and former NIH officials, if you lie at the behest of the establishment, there is never... Look at Peter Hotez. Look at Rachel Maddow. These are some of the world-class heavyweight champion liars. Anthony Fauci. Antony Blinken. Heavyweight champion liars. Nothing's ever going to happen to them because they're lying at the behest of the powerful. And then you would need someone more powerful to come after them. There is no one more powerful than Big Pharma and the Pentagon, military-industrial complex. There's nobody more powerful than that. So that's why, though, nothing will ever happen. Fauci and other current and former NIH officials have defended their pandemic decisions, and they have the people in the media to back them up because they're bought by the same people who bought Fauci. So that's why when you turn on the media, they still say Fauci was right. I still have fucking morons in my DMs, Hollywood assholes, upset that I'm criticizing Fauci because they don't know a fucking thing. The agency's broader response saying that federal leaders generally did the best that they could. They did not. As we just showed you, they smeared people who had a better idea. They slandered people. They did a devastating takedown. Trump on, and they say, oh, and that much of the criticism is second guessing. No, they were out in front of it. I just showed you how Bhattacharya and the Great Barrington Declaration, they were way out in front on this. Fauci and other current and former NIH officials have defended that we already did this. Trump on Friday night announced a flurry of other top healthcare appointments, including Makary, is that Marty Makary, as his planned FDA commissioner. I think that's good. Weldon as his planned CDC director. Not so sure about Weldon. And Janet Nushiwa, a family and emergency medicine physician. She did change her tune. She got COVID completely wrong. She was for shutting people up who were dissenting. But then at some point she got religion and she switched. Those positions are also subject to Senate confirmation. Bhattacharya and Makary collaborated on a blueprint for a proposed commission to investigate the nation's coronavirus response. Well, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think they're going to have a hard enough time getting anything done because the entire establishment's going to be opposing people like Bhattacharya, Bobby Kennedy. They're going to be completely opposing them. And what do I mean by the establishment? I mean by all the Republicans and Democrats in Congress and in the Senate, all the people who are permanently inside the government, the media, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, do you like free stuff? Well, you're in luck because Buy Optimizer's Black Friday deal starts now. And they're giving away free gifts with purchase. That's right. I have an exclusive advance invite to Buy Optimizer's Black Friday deal for the entire month of November. This is their best sale of the entire year. If you're feeling stressed out or haven't been sleeping well lately, you're not alone. You might not be able to change all the chaos out there, but you can start supplementing with one key nutrient to improve your sleep quality as well as over 600 other biochemical reactions in your body. Magnesium Breakthrough. Now, I take magnesium. It's the only product I've found that has all the magnesium forms in one convenient bottle. You'll open less bottles, spend less money, and still get the top 7 forms of magnesium for better sleep, manage stress, balance hormones, improve mood, feel refreshed, all in one bottle. When you get all 7 critical forms of magnesium, pretty much every function in your body gets upgraded. Right now, for the entire month of November, Buy Optimizers, the makers of Magnesium Breakthrough, are having a Black Friday blowout sale on all their products. I love blowout sales. I love when they blow things out. All month long, you will get discounts with my unique code, plus access up to $100 in free gifts with purchase. This is the best time to stock up and take advantage of all the free extras you're going to get. You can only get this exclusive through my link, special for my audience. You won't find this on Amazon. You won't. Or even on the company website. Yeah, that's right. Go to buyoptimizers.com/Jimmy. and use code Jimmy to get your discount and free gifts today. And one last thing, you should know all Buy Optimizers supplements are best in class. If for some reason you feel differently, you can get a full refund up to 1 year after you purchased it, no questions asked. Come on. Again, the link to go to right now for the exclusive deal is Jimmy. Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com.